Hey everybody, my name is Matt, and as always, my co-host is here.
Cass Anderson.
Right, you told me never to introduce your name. You said, let me say my name. So I'm never going to do that. And you have brought a friend on our interview show, our podcast. We really shouldn't even call it a podcast. We haven't made it into Spotify yet, but we'll say our YouTube interview show that sometimes also goes on LinkedIn. Who have you brought?
I'd like to introduce Norm Williams. So Norm and I met on a plane and we just connected. He's a brilliant businessman. He's currently the founder of Capton, and I don't want to steal too much of his thunder because I want him to brag about it, but it is a brilliant software plus IoT product that can really help businesses, especially in businesses who are in the food and beverage industry. So I'll let him talk more about that, but
Great.
I've just enjoyed getting to know Norm, and he has a lot of leadership wisdom and business wisdom that I think our audience would really benefit from.
So you seem very excited. I'm excited to talk to you, Norm. Before we jump into my first question, I rarely do this, but can you spell the name of your company?
Capton, Capton.
Okay, Capton, got it. I don't know why, but maybe it was my ears. I kept hearing cat dog, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is, like some summit to get cats and dogs to be friends, and I just didn't understand the relevance, but Capton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, think of like a cap on the
Cap.
top of a bottle. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
a long time ago, there was a brand consultant who came up with that, and I really liked it. So
Good. Well, let's start, and I'll ask you a very simple kind of overarching question. What is a mantra or phrase you live by as a leader?
yeah, so for me, energy and perseverance conquer all things, right? So that's a Benjamin Franklin quote from way back when. That is one of my favorites, because if you ask anybody, I don't give up. And as Babe Ruth said, it's hard to beat a man who doesn't quit,
Yeah.
who never gives up, right? So that's what I do. I get involved with something and I see it through. And
You have a lot of grit, it sounds like.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Angela Duckworth would say that's one of the number one things to predictor of success in life is grit or endurance. So I think
Yeah.
good.
And so, it's the biggest P in what I call, kind of the three P's that are really the foundation for what I do. And it's the last one, and obviously the most important one, which is perseverance. So you got to stick with. So many people give up before, when it's just, they're almost there, but they just lose their will to see it through. And so that's a really important, for me, it's really important in employees and what I do every day, and that I show people that, hey, here's how we're going to make this happen.
Well, energy and perseverance being a mantra, and P making an important P perseverance making an important appearance in your three P's of leadership.
Three P's.
There must be, like, along the way, a defining moment where these things kind of came together. What was a defining moment in your
Yeah. So, I mean, early in my career, virtually almost out of college, out of UCLA, I was recruited and I got involved with one Silicon Valley company that was Fortune 500. I was on the sales side, and then sales management. Then the founder left, started another company. Both became Fortune 500 companies in pretty much record time. And so when you're in a startup, it's an unusual, especially if you're doing something disruptive, because people don't initially understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. And so you have to just keep with it until you get through. That's also a little bit of a contrarian approach, because a lot of people like to do stuff that's already being done, and maybe we'll refine it a little bit. I've always been much more interested in disrupting things, because that's where the really big opportunities present themselves.
Absolutely. I think disruptive technology in general has been where the market just shifts, and we're seeing that with AI for sure.
Yeah. And so for me, the defining moment was, with that background in place, I was really close to the founder of these two Fortune 500 companies, traveled all over the world with him. We did a lot of huge deals with all the tier one, global companies. And so what we learned was, I saw that. I go, hey, I want to be a CEO someday, right? And he was really grooming me to do that. But unfortunately, after two of these, he kind of checked out, ran out of good ideas. And so I, said, hey, I want to lead a company. And so I had invested in a small company and took a board seat. And in one of the board meetings, and the CEO had performed so poorly for so long, and I'm in a board meeting with the VC, and I didn't know this was going to happen, but the VC fires the CEO on the spot, says you're out effective immediately. And the VC's putting in, $500,000 or $1 million a month. I can't remember what it was. It was a good sum of money. And so everybody's quiet. We're going like, well, Mike, what? Okay, so now you don't have a CEO. Who's going to be the CEO? And he said, well, it's going to be you. And I go, well, that's interesting because I've never been CEO before. And he says, look, you take this thing over. I'll back you. You put your team in. I'll give you all the money you need until you get your plan in place, and then we'll go raise a big round, right? And so that's exactly what we did. And so that was like, what does the military call it? A field promotion, right?
Yeah.
And so there I was, and now I was in a position to do something I always wanted to do, but I had no qualifications for it. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'll be your interim guy. Let me go put this in place, and then I'll tell you if I'm the guy for you to go forward. And I was. And that company, we built it up and we sold it to a public company a few years later. And so I had my first kind of full cycle, from a startup to an exit, to a public company. So that was kind of a defining moment for me.
For sure.
The big one.
I had a very similar moment where they fired the CEO. I was in there and I said to the owner, just like you, who's going to be the CEO? And he was like, not you. I was like, what about me? And he's like, not you. And I was like, he goes, there's a lot of people. Go get the people in the hall. I'm like, what about me? He goes, I've already said not you twice. Not you. And then I was like, is this my exit? He goes, it could be. Okay, so
that could be a defining moment for you, Matt.
Yeah,
for sure.
right. It was defining, like, not you. I'm like, I put my CEO under my name tag. He goes, I don't care what you did. Hey, what is something that makes your company special?
Yeah, so I've always liked disruptive, as I mentioned a minute ago. And so where you're doing something, because if you think about the two Fortune 500 companies, these were hard drives. We were doing something that nobody had done before. We did it once, built it up, and then we did it again. And so I naturally kind of look for those things. And what I have managed to avoid is just being in a group, in a segment where there's 20 or 30 competitors and you're just fighting for market share. I've always thought, let's do something new. That's disruptive. So it's a new way of doing things. And so that's always been what I've looked for in companies I've run, I've consulted with, or I've worked for.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you know that something is going to be disruptive? Like, I know this is off script. Like, I'm really curious because, that's like I'm really skipping ahead. Like, that's a seeing around the corner moment here.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
That's where the biggest P comes involved, right? The perseverance, because in almost all cases, you never get it right the first time. And so, but you're onto something. And that's very much what we're going through right now with Capton. In the hospitality, we sell to the hospitality space, and we're doing something that they haven't done before, but badly need to do. And so, when you're doing something new, if you look at, timing is critical, the technology is critical, the people are critical. Of course, you need funding, right? And you need people, right? So those are kind of the 5 ingredients. And so, and so you have to kind of cycle through them. The most important one is actually the timing, because for these two Fortune 500 companies, we didn't exactly have the brightest people or the best qualified people, but the timing was good, and that gave us margin. So we didn't have to be perfect, right? But the timing was great, and we executed really, really well. And so that's why, when you look at that, timing is critical. And if you go back 10 years ago, the timing for what Capstone did was not ideal for a variety of reasons. But post-COVID, hospitality is struggling, costs are rising now faster than revenues. They're in a pinch, and we offer the ability to return significant profitability to these hospitality enterprises. So that's kind of how I think about it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's definitely the right timing, but you never know. We have the right product now. We've got the right people. We could use some more funding, but we're having good success, and we're making progress toward being ubiquitous. Nobody else does what we do, and the way that we do it. There's some competitors, but they haven't been able to get their way into the tier one kind of customers. Sports venues, hotels, casinos, etc., which is where we really shine, right? Those high volume locations.
Yep.
Let me ask you, what do you feel executives are massively underestimating right now?
For sure it's AI. And a lot of it has to do with the uncertainty, right? I mean, AI has incredible potential to help us be more productive. And so I'm going to give a little bit of an economist answer on the one hand, on the other hand, right? And so it has great potential, but usually with any new technology, it isn't always, it's always the people on the margin who are looking for something to do something bad with, right? And whether it's breaking, unlocking the 256 encryption code, which is apparently AI is very close to being able to do, whether it's being able to do cybercrime with more efficiency and more effectively than ever before. Those are all the things, and that's where I think it has great potential to do great good, and it has potential to do great harm, right? So, on the one hand, it's going to democratize everything because, I can actually write code now. I'm not a coder. I haven't written code since college, but I can tell the app what I want it to build, and it'll build it for me. And it actually works. I've played with this before, and so that's great from one hand, but, and I think it's going to be a couple of years before everything kind of shakes out and the world is either destroyed, as some say, or we actually have a really useful tool. And what I do like is people are playing with it, more frequently. They're not as afraid of it as they were before. And people are starting to experiment with it. And I think that's good because a lot of good things will come out of it. Basically, it's a tool, right?
Yeah.
And we have to figure out how to use it before the bad people figure out how to destroy the world with it.
Yeah, I wanted to come kind of back to what Norm said about AI being either a good help or on the other side, kind of a dangerous tool in the wrong hands. So both Matt and I work a lot in the cybersecurity space. And so if 256-bit encryption being broken is worrisome to you, don't leave this call in a panic. Just leave this call and reach out to Matt or I, and we can make sure your business.
You're doing a commercial right now, Cass. I love it.
I had to put it in.
I love it.
It was such a softball, but then we went on a tangent.